was enjoying running and felt full of energy, full of health, and finished my 20-minute workout or my 20-minute run and decided to carry on, push it for another 5 minutes or so. And after a few minutes, I experienced an altered state, which would be an aura in medical terms, and a tingling in my left hand, and a strong sense that something was not quite right. So I tried to get off the treadmill, and as I did so, I lost consciousness and fell to the floor. The next memory I have is waking up with two fellow gym members sitting opposite me, cross-legged, very interested in me.
Looking somewhat concerned.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I think a grand mal full convulsive seizure is far more unpleasant for those that witness it than for the individual who's unconscious and doesn't know what's happening. Yeah. So that's really where it began.
Yeah. And what happened from, I mean, at that point, I guess you had no idea what was happening.
They explained that I'd had the seizure, and I thanked them very much and got up to return to my apartment, and they suggested that I sit down because an ambulance was on the way, and it might be a good idea to wait for that, and that seemed like sound advice. So I went to hospital, and I remember the moment where I found out the news very, very clearly. A female doctor came into the room, and she had a look on her face before she'd said anything that was expressive of concern that she was going to have to give a 31-year-old man this information. And she said something like, "You have a lump in your head," or "We found a lump in your head." And I remember my response, my experience was one of absolute fascination. And that word fascinating continued to describe my experience for some time, and continues to. And there was no concern or sense that anything was wrong, or that there was no fear, and there was a deep knowing that this was somehow not just okay, but it was actually really good.
Yeah. Sorry, and that's one of the things that really strikes me, because you quoting your own book, one of the things you say is, "I experienced a deep peace, and knowing all is well, I intuited the diagnosis was somehow a deepening of my journey rather than interruption, a gift rather than a problem." I mean, that's sort of what you're saying. That's a pretty unusual response, I think it'd be fair to say, to something like this.
I think
so. Maybe it would be appropriate for us to take maybe a step back before the diagnosis. Sure. I mean, was there I mean, I know you'd had a spiritual practice, and kind of is that what had prepared you? Why do you think you responded in the way that you did, when for most people, I mean, that's the complete opposite, let's say, of how they would respond? Do you have a sense of where that response came from in you?
For sure. So there was probably two elements, I think, to how that response arose as it did. One was the preparatory work, sort of 10 or 15 years of fascination in the nature of reality, what's real, what's true, and studying all manner of avenues to understand and realize for myself what is real, what all this wonder and craziness is. And a big element of that was mind training, and experiencing difficulties, suffering, pain, and discovering effective ways of responding to those experiences, having first discovered many ineffective ways.
Yes.
And what I had found conclusively is that when I embrace what is happening, all is well. When I resist what is happening, I suffer.
Yes.
Including intense suffering, so depression, suicidal despair, and so on, common experiences these days.
Sure.
This was part of my practice, and looking how to work with those tensions in consciousness and how to respond. I discovered that by embracing those energies when they arose, it hurt a lot less. And that meant that it was really quite natural to embrace this for no other reason than it was.
Yes.